Welcome to FOMO Consulting for your daily AMC stock analysis video on Sunday, May 9th. To our opponent, consider this your warning. Cover or fail. You have been warned. And as always, the apes are winning, the diamond hands are winning, and most importantly, the individual and retail investor are winning. And I will have a price prediction for this week at the end of the video. So if you find the video informative and entertaining, please like, share, comment, and certainly subscribe. It's a newer channel, and I would certainly appreciate the support. Let's get into the video. So I would like to personally thank everyone who has liked, shared, commented, and subscribed. It certainly means the world to me, and thank you from the bottom of my heart. So let's start with a quote. It's a weird sensation to be mad and learning at the same time, by fantastic and hilarious comedian Jeff Foxworthy. We certainly have been mad, angry, frustrated, distrustful, you name it, we've been there. But all the while over the last few months, we have all been learning, educating ourselves, educating the community, educating each other. There's fantastic YouTubers, Redditors, individual contributors, Twitter, you name it, that are all digging in, looking for the truth, looking for the facts. And as frustrating as it has been, and it is on each and every day in some capacity, we are improving ourselves, improving our knowledge, and we can't ask for much more than that at this point. So congratulations to everyone who is improving themselves and learning, all while being mad. So quick recap of Friday. All that really matters was the game-winning shot. We closed at $9.51. It was a fantastic, beautiful green candle to end the day. I do believe this sets us up nicely for this week, assuming that the broader market also cooperates with us. That has also been somewhat of a factor in the last week or so with the red candle days. So I believe we will have a bullish week, and I'll show you why very shortly. So again, the indicators are beginning to flow back towards the bullish side. I do believe we need another green day or two to fully get back into those upward channels of bullish momentum, but I have no doubt we will get there. Always, when in doubt, zoom out. We are clearly on the uptrend, nothing to be concerned with at this point from my perspective. So I've touched on this a few days, but our opponent has no escape. AMC is improving. It is clear. The economy around AMC is improving. The company is getting stronger by the day. The apes hold the floor. They cannot escape that way. And now you've got the rules and regulations clearly closing them in on the other side. There's no escape. The only escape is to cover and squeeze, in my opinion. So I've had a little time over the weekend to kind of read through NSCC 006. It's clearly somewhat of a bombshell regulation that allows them to effectively implement rules without the 10-day waiting period, which means they can speed the process up substantially. I do believe we will see some very meaningful legislation come to pass this week. I believe they needed this rule in place first, which is why they kind of pushed a couple others down the line. So I'm expecting some pretty exciting information coming out of our rules and regulations. So let's look at how AMC might compare to the Volkswagen Infinity squeeze. I've seen a lot over the last few weeks and months. Everybody loves looking at this chart, right? Let's just look at a few of the facts and compare them against the current climate of AMC. So obviously this occurred in October 2008. Very, very odd time for this to occur in the middle of the housing crisis. Things were just horrible at that time, as I showed you yesterday. So it was very carefully planned, I do believe. Volkswagen had been struggling for quite some time, and it was a potential bankruptcy company, which means it was a target for short sellers, right? It was being heavily shorted. automakers were crashing left and right, but more specifically, Chrysler had filed bankruptcy around that time. GM had filed bankruptcy. So Volkswagen was certainly on the table from a short seller's target list, right? What made this very, very interesting and why our opponent doesn't really listen to warnings, clearly by the title of this video, is on Sunday, Porsche announced that they were increasing their ownership to 74%. Now, Porsche somewhat was acting as a institutional buyer. They were saving and had plans to take over Volkswagen. They upped it by 44%. The really interesting dynamic was that was carefully planned to be announced on a Sunday when all eyes and ears would see it and hear it. It would freak everyone out. The markets were obviously closed on a Sunday. So the timing around that was very, very calculated. Entering October 2008, 55% of the shares were unavailable, which means it was 55% owned. It was widely known. So when they upped their percentage to 44%, or by 40%, that put obviously the available shares at 1%. It was 99% owned between Porsche, retail, and institutional investors. There was a lot of confusion over the short percentage and the free float at that time, but it's readily accepted that at that time the short interest was 12.8%. Now keep in mind, AMC currently is at double that, so, or nearly double. So we are in a very, very good spot regarding AMC. Additionally, 99% owned was Volkswagen. We are at 100% utilization, right? If not more so, because of synthetics, fails to deliver, what have you. So when they made the announcement on Sunday, obviously, everyone rushed cover. But they were, obviously, when they bought them and disclosed it, there were only 1% of the free float available. So Porsche put out this disclaimer in their public statement on that Sunday. Porsche added that quote, the disclosure should give so-called short sellers / meaning financial institutions which have betted or are still betting on a falling share price in Volkswagen the opportunity to settle their relevant positions without rush and without facing major risk. Despite the disarming choice of wording, the statement from Porsche had precisely the effect that anyone would have expected. The announcement triggered a mass panic for the exits by anyone who was short shares of Volkswagen. On that day, they became the most valuable company in the world, nearly $1,200 US per share, ridiculous. Porsche, during that day, came out with a $10 billion profit. Hedge funds lose $40 billion, and that was in 2008. So you can only imagine what we know between AMC, GME, and others, with all these fails to deliver and short shares and all of synthetics, shares on loan, you name it. You can only imagine the potential of AMC going forward when it does squeeze, including other stocks like GME and others. So it's a very exciting comparison side by side with AMC and Volkswagen. Let me remind you of what we are facing tomorrow. As of Friday close of market, they had returned 350,000 borrowed shares. They had borrowed 5 million, which means they should still have in their possession 4.67 million borrowed shares. What do you expect they're going to do with them on Monday? Are they going to hold them, return them, try to short ladder us down to $8? Your guess is as good as mine, but I do not believe they're going to return them without using them. So let's look at the options expiring this Friday on the 14th. So on the left, you'll see the calls. On the right, you'll see the puts, open interest. So I've got multiple lines. The green, between the two green lines is where I believe the real battlefield is. That is where the real fight's going to be this week. If you look at the open interest, you've got over 30,000 open contracts between $10 and $11 on the call side. On the put side, I believe it's somewhat of a hedge. Around the $8 level, you have nearly 18,000 open interest on puts. But I do believe that $10 to $11 range is going to be critical. I believe there are a ton of open calls contracts. If we can close the week above 11, we will put nearly 30,000 contracts in the money. I believe that is extraordinarily important this week. If we get some positive news around some of the rules and regs or any other sort of positive catalyst, we could be off to the races. I do believe once we reclaim that $10 level, we should quickly return back closer to 11. That's just my opinion, not financial advice as always. But again, I wanted you to kind of see the different kind of the playing field that we have right here. So you're welcome to pause and look it over. I'll be sharing this again updated tomorrow. So just one more reminder how the stock has traditionally reacted over the last 4 earnings calls. Each and every time there has been a bullish push in and around or after earnings. I am looking forward over the next week to 10 days of seeing a bullish price action. That is my opinion. That is what my research is telling me. It's really going to come up to how aggressively they try to short this down and suppress the price, as we all know. Again, I put this in the video yesterday and Friday, but all of the short data is trending in our direction. Over 150 million shares on loan. We're still at 100% utilization. Days to cover incrementally goes up each and every day. We're at 1.6. I believe it's really more like 3 to 4 days to cover, but just my opinion. Cost to borrow on Ortex is close to 13. It has completely shot up on Fintel, 26.6%. A lot of that I do believe is the massive amount of shares that they are holding. As I showed you, 4.5, 5 million shares on loan on a high risk stock that they have not returned. That was a 15% increase in one day, as a matter of fact. So volume, as always, really means a lot to us. There's a lot of institutional buyers coming in each and every day. BlackRock has increased their position substantially based on the 13F filing, nearly, I believe, $27 million or something of that nature. So we are clearly sitting in a good position, and quite frankly, all we have to do is buy and hold, right? And watch the show. So as always, I have skin in the game. I'll update this each and every day. I am as invested as you are. I win with you, I lose with you. We are all in this together, diamond hands and apes and retail investors. But I do believe we will see a squeeze sooner rather than later. So my bold prediction, crystal ball, is we will close the week somewhere between $10 and $11. Again, this is just my personal prediction. You can do your own due diligence, but I do believe we're going to have a green week, a bullish week. A lot of it's going to be trying to put those the open interest on the call side in the money. I do believe there's going to be a big fight around that. If we can close above 11, we get to 11.01. Look out, we're going to have a huge run the following week. So let's end with a quote. Beware of little expenses. A small leak can sink a great ship, by Benjamin Franklin. Get your Benjis, right? As I'm reading this, I think about our opponent. right? Uh, they clearly do not take warnings very well. They do not see the obvious or acknowledge the obvious. They have been warned. They need to cover. They know the rules and regs are coming. They know we aren't going anywhere. We are not leaving until this is done. We are the diamond hands. We are the apes. We are the retail investor. We have more resolve than they have money. They cannot short the American culture. They cannot short the Canadian culture. They cannot short the European culture. They cannot short the international culture. We like the movies, and we certainly like the stock, right? But all it takes is just one fund to crack before the chain reaction starts. An Archegos can happen with a smaller fund, a smaller opponent that has to cover more than the big boys. But as soon as the chain reaction of the small one, we will sink the ship of the large funds, the large opponents, the large banks that are trying to short AMC to bankruptcy, that are trying to defeat the apes and diamond hands and retail investor, that are trying to short our culture. It's not going to happen. As always, I hope you find this video informative and entertaining. If you do, please like, share, comment it, and subscribe. It would mean the world to me. And as always, I hope your life is full of green candles. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you soon.